I was just.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Folks, you're not going to believe this. Bass players, Detroit bass players around the world. I mean that literally right now. You're going to find out what I'm talking about. Welcome to Detroit bass players in Portugal. Let's just call it in Portugal because we're not in the basement right now. Where are you?
Well, I'm in Portugal, in the city near Lisbon called Barreiro.
and tell us your name.
My name is CLAUDIA Fontes.
That was some wonderful playing, Claudia. Thank you for hanging out with me. We're doing this via Skype, by the way. I'm in my studio. I don't know, you might be able to see some guitars and amps and pianos and stuff in the background. And you at home in Brazil? I mean, in Portugal?
Yes, I'm in my room, which I have some guitars and pianos. Here behind me is my, well, sorry. I don't know if you can see that, my clavinova, and then another Yamaha and guitars. I love music. I'm addicted.
Yeah, now, let me ask you, this is the question I always like to ask people first. When did you start playing the bass guitar and why?
Well, I started to play the bass guitar when I had 16 years old, and I got in love with the bass when I went to a blues band rehearsal, and I was meant to be their keyboardist, their pianist. But at that time I didn't have a keyboard. And so I didn't get through the audition, and well, nothing happened. But I got in love with a new instrument, the bass. I saw this big guitar with this deep sound, and I was like, oh, maybe it's not the piano that I want to play. I want to play the bass. And a few years later, I got in that band as a bassist. And so it was like that.
Wow, that's interesting. What's your native language in
It's
Portugal?
Portuguese.
So you speak Portuguese.
Yes.
Now you know I was in a magazine in Brazil. It's a music magazine called Liha de Frente. What does that stand for?
Could you repeat the name, please?
Linha de Frente.
Ah, Lena Differente. Well, I don't know that person. I'm sorry.
What does that mean in
Linha de frente. Okay. Linha de frente means the front line. The line in the front.
I appreciate it. I want to thank you for reading that magazine to me. And let me ask you this. I found out about you, Claudia. I was reading some of my messages, and I found out the other day that I have two message folders on Facebook. One is called Messages, and one is called Other. So I just started looking in the other. I didn't realize it existed. I started looking in the others, and I saw a compliment from you about the things we do here in Detroit, the videos we do in Detroit. And the message was like 3 years old, and I was like, I am so sorry that I didn't read this, and I wanted to reach out to you. And as a result, you responded, and I thank you for responding. And let me ask you, how did you find out about the Detroit bass players?
Well, at the time I was searching for this young phenom called Brandon Rose. And he is a total prodigy of the bass. So I was starting out and I saw him on YouTube. And then I started to look at videos, and I found this interview, this video of you interviewing him. So, and I was searching, and then I started to see your channel and looking for more videos, more interviews, hearing others bass player stories and learning by them. And I just loved the work that you did. Maybe one day I will do that here in Barreiro in Portugal, because musicians should be listened more times.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. That's an honor coming from the other side of the big pond. I really appreciate that, and I thank you. You living proof that we doing something right here, us bass players out here in Detroit. I thank you for watching, and as a result, I had to interview you. You're like the third interview over there. I did a guy named Beans Miller over in the UK. Via Skype. Wonderful bass player out there. I did Kern Brantley. He's a Detroit bass player, but I did him. He was somewhere in Asia. And I think you are the third one. And you're an awesome bass player yourself. And
thank you.
So how many years you think you've been playing now?
3 years.
Right, so you're only 19 years old?
21. And yes, 21.
Okay. All right. Well, and you look real nice too, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And you can play very nice. We have done other international interviews, but luckily for us, they were able to come to Detroit. For example, Lydia. Well, they call her Lydia on bass. Did you ever check that one out?
Yes, I heard.
What you think about her? You probably heard of her a long time ago, right?
Yes. Well, she is fantastic. There are two bass females that I absolutely love, which is Lydia. And by the way, she plays Marcus Miller stuff very, very well. And Tal Quickenfeld. She's just awesome.
Yeah, she's from Australia, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she is an awesome bass player. You say they started to recognize you. Go ahead.
In a bar. It was called B-Jazz. The bar was called B-Jazz. And I went there one night and I saw a guy playing a grand piano. And then he finished his concert, and I went there and played a little bit. I remember I played Jerry Lee Lewis, Great Balls on Fire. And then the guy of the bar said me, well, why don't you come here more times and play for us? And then I started to play in there very frequently, and it was there that my music development started to appear a little more. And from there, I knew about the School of Jazz, which was in the same building of that bar. And I started to study jazz, piano jazz.
Okay.
And it was like that.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because I didn't want to keep you or nothing like that. I know you got to do other things. Do you practice often?
Yes, I'm always playing the bass. In the piano too, but I prefer the bass. I practice scales, arpeggios, chords, improvising, everything that I can remember of. I schedule my practice and I say like 10 minutes scales, 10 minutes arpeggios, 10 minutes, and then I play freely to apply what I was trying to learn.
Okay. Well, who are some of your what music do you listen to? Who are some of your favorite bass players?
Ooh, the list is very long, but some of the most important are Marcus Miller, which is the guy that most inspires me. Victor Wooten, because I do martial arts too, and that style inspires me a lot, and he's a wonderful teacher. Jaco Pastorius, Stanley Clarke, Larry Graham, Steve Bailey, Andy Irvine, all of those people. I really like them. There's a Detroit-based player that I love to hear, which is Ralph Armstrong. I really, really, really like his musical work. It's fantastic. And Brandon Rose, Tal Quickenfeld, Lydia, Speranza Spalding, great female bass players. Those are really, really the top ones. And Pipoquinho, of course, the Brazilian bassist.
Okay. And who are the heavyweights on bass out there in Portugal?
Well, in Portugal, bass players are not that known. I've heard a few bass players here in Barreiro, but I don't even know their names. Bass players in Portugal is like, you have to keep down that groove. Soloing, well, there's a great bass player in Portugal that was my teacher. He's not Portuguese, but he lives and teaches in Portugal, and he's called Máximo Cavalli. It's his name, and he plays wonderful upright bass and electric bass. He's wonderful.
Okay, what do you do besides play music? Because I got a picture of you like with pouring chemicals or something. Was you a scientist on the side or something?
Yes, I started to study biochemistry because of music. This has a both funny and kind of tragic, but with a happy ending. So when I was 11 years old in 2004, I had a really, really bad accident, and I went to the hospital, and people thought that I had a really bad injury in the spine, in the brain. Then I got to do an MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. And as you may know, that is a heck of a noisy machine in there, claustrophobic and noisy machine. So I was there, and I was panicking, a little child like panicking, but suddenly those noises became melodies. I started to hear melodies, and the fear went away. And I started thinking, oh, melodies. cool. And I started to enjoy that and think, what if I could do something scientific with music? What if music can cure? And I grew up, and then I started thinking, well, I should go to medicine and be a doctor. But no, I needed to do something. We human beings, we have atoms, molecules. We hear music and we cry, we dance. So if we are atoms and molecules, that should do something to us. So what I want to do as a scientist is to investigate those effects and use them in a scientific way. For example, curing some kind of disease with sounds and know the effects of different scales, arpeggios. Those frequencies, what can they do to the human being for helping people? How does cells react to actual music, to the different chords and chord progressions in jazz, in ballads, in rock, funk, everything. I want to prove scientifically that music can help not just in terms of behavior, but in cellular and in chemical ways.
Okay. That is awesome. So that almost leads to my next question. What are your future aspirations? That's some of it. And what about your future aspirations or desires for the instrument itself?
Well, I would like to work as a musician, like a recording studio musician. I would like to be in a studio recording and creating my own music, so I can use it that in the lab and playing gigs and the kind of normal stuff that people do that I would love to do.
Okay, good. Well, I don't know if you realize this. This is one of my best interviews ever via Skype, and I'm glad we did this. And like I said, I didn't want to keep you or anything, but I want you to know from me, Big Ive, to you, that it's your turn to represent Portugal. So there should be one great bass player. The next time somebody asks that question, who's a great bass player out of Portugal? And they should say, Claudia.
Oh, thank you. Whoa.
So do what you got to do to make that happen. And then I look forward to hearing from you and keeping up with you. So is there any way that we can get a hold of you or listen to your music or, keep up with you, friend you and all that good stuff?
Yes, I just created a new YouTube channel called CLAUDIA FONTES, and I already have one video there. But in the future I will upload more, and I have an old one which is called D to Tom Music. And I also have a Facebook called CLAUDIA FONTES. Those are my 3 places that I go and show some of my work to people. I also have a blog, but it's in Portuguese. In the near future, I will translate that for English too. But YouTube and Facebook are my main sites, places in the internet.
Okay, good. Well, again, I didn't want to keep you. So before you play us out, is there anything that you would like to say in closing?
Ok. Em primeiro lugar, gostaria de agradecer ao Big Ive por me deixar aparecer no seu canal. É uma grande honra, porque o seu trabalho é fantástico, é uma grande pessoa e o seu trabalho de facto merece ser valorizado. O seu e de todos os baixistas de Detroit, Michigan.
I don't know what you said, but that sounded good to me.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Big Ive, for giving me this chance to be in your channel, because it is a great honor to be where other great people were too. And you are a great bass player, a great person, so I want to thank you for that. And well.
Okay, So why don't you just play us something out?
Okay, let me just grab my bass. I will just play a Portuguese song called Loucos de Lisboa.